Hi, my name's Clay, and I made $350 with Postmates last month.
What inspired you to get started delivering stuff with Postmates?
I'm a college student, so I was looking for a summer job. I figured I had one summer left before I got into all the internships and in the nitty gritty. So I wanted to do something I enjoy, and I've always enjoyed driving. And the only job I had had before was a cashier at Kroger. And after doing that for maybe 8 months, I knew that I didn't want to stand in one place for 10 hours a day again.
Okay,
So
okay.
I figured just mix my passion of driving with something I can make money on. So I applied to like a newspaper and then a couple like pizza delivery type places, and I got offers for multiple jobs. But then I said, "Hey, let me take a second. I want to see if this whole gig thing pans out." On my first two orders, I think I made about $30 in like 45 minutes. So then I was hooked. And then
Yeah.
I called the guy right up and I was like, "I'm sorry, like I'm gonna I can't take this."
Was that beginner's luck or has that been typical for you?
I think that was definitely some beginner's luck.
Okay.
But I mean, it can definitely happen from time to time, but I think you just have to get lucky with bonuses in your area and whatnot.
Okay. Is it mostly takeout orders? Is it groceries? Like what kind of stuff are you delivering?
Yeah, so I've completed over 200 some deliveries with Postmates, and I've personally never had any like Walmart, Walgreens type order. I've only had maybe a couple like specialty things like an ice cream place, but everything else is takeout from either a more formal restaurant, everything from like nice steakhouses, like well over like $100 meals to
Wow.
like
Okay.
like fast food like Zaxby's or something.
Have you turned it on at all recently in the wake of all of the coronavirus stuff, like people staying stuck at home? Delivery gigs are hot right now.
Yeah, I have not yet. As I mean, I'm in school right now, so I've been focusing on my studies a lot, and I was
Okay.
just off for break. But I have heard from some of my like Postmate friends and other people online that it's really hot right now, and that people are getting like $25+ tips. Like
Okay.
I saw someone that got like $25+ tips back to back, and with Postmates, that's essentially where you make all your money.
Okay.
So
Let's break that down. So how does it typically work? You turn the thing on, you say, "Hey, do you want to accept this order?" It's a takeout restaurant, down the block from you or hopefully, nearby to minimize your transport time. You have the choice to accept or reject based on like the projected earnings.
mhm. So yeah, once you go online, you see just like a map, and it has these like hexagon type hotspots, and they go from yellow to a dark red. So yellow is like little to no traffic, and then dark red is like you'll get an order in maybe 30 seconds.
Okay, okay.
Like once you have that going, you're prompted eventually with an order, and then you have a minute to accept or decline, and all you see is where the restaurant is in relation to you and then where the customer is. You don't have any specific address. It's all just
Okay, a little bit opaque,
on this map.
okay. But
So you
do
kind
they
of
tell you how much you're gonna
guesstimate
make for that?
based on your based. No, so it's different than DoorDash in that sense, because I know with
Okay.
I've delivered some with DoorDash, and they have a guaranteed type earning. There's no guarantee with Postmates that you see initially. The only guarantee is $3. $3 is the lowest they will give you for an order.
Geez, okay. So you're kind of taking it a little bit on faith. I'm gonna go pick up this stuff. I'm gonna go drop it off.
Mhm.
It seems reasonably close together on this little opaque map situation. And then hopefully I get a tip on the other end. Like, but you don't know any of that going into it.
Yeah, so Postmates is definitely much more of a gamble than the other apps. So I have experience with DoorDash, Grubhub, and Postmates, with the
Okay.
majority of it being on Postmates. And out of the three, it is the biggest gamble, so to say, because you obviously you don't know what you're getting into. Once you really start to realize distances, you can estimate how much you're going to make, but then most of it is up to the tip. I'd say I make about 80% of my earnings on Postmates through tips.
Okay. Um, I want to get to your preferences between the apps in a second, but anything
Yeah.
specifically you're doing to encourage customers to leave you those tips?
Yes. So I think a lot of it is service based. I don't think I would ever like go out and say like actually physically encourage a customer to give a tip, because I know that like when I've ordered apps and then if someone prompting you to tip is kind of a awkward feeling.
Yeah.
But I even had one where this lady had wrote something on the bag and she had attached like a Snickers to it, and she was like, a Snickers is sweet and so would a tip be. And I was like, I mean, I appreciate the effort, but that's kind of a lot. So I just try to provide good service, make sure you have your forks, your napkins, any sauces they request. That's important.
Okay.
Um, and then one thing I do is I keep a stapler with me in my car. So most of the bags you get are sealed already. But for the ones that aren't, you can just go ahead and staple it. And that creates a better sense of trust with the customer, because they kind of think, oh, because I know if I get one of like food from one of these apps and then the food's missing, I'm like, oh, did this person like go eat one of my
Yeah,
hash browns?
this order of fries seems a little bit light. Okay,
Yeah.
okay.
Yeah. So then I think even if the order's wrong at that point, they say, oh, okay.
At least it was sealed. Okay.
Yes. Yeah. Another thing is the keeping the food hot. So the hot bags are important. With Postmates, you get a pretty basic type hot bag. It's cheap and doesn't really insulate the food well. With other apps like Grubhub is one I've got. It's probably retail would be like $10-15 insulated bag. So
Okay.
I have taken that and then I use that for Postmates. But you can also find them online for $10 or so, and
Gotcha.
that'll do a lot for your earnings.
Fair enough. Fair enough. Do you ever stack these apps, so have multiple apps running at the same time to try and pick up orders going in the same direction? Is that allowed? Is that frowned upon? Like, how does that all work?
Yeah, no, I think that's generally promoted, at least within these communities, because I mean, without that, you can go. I know on days that I've just done Postmates, it gets dry for a little bit. You could go an hour without getting an order, and then you're
Okay.
just sitting in your car. So yes, I definitely run Grubhub and Postmates at the same time. So once you're signed up, you can opt in to get these like so-called perks emailed to you, and it's every maybe twice weekly. You get these. It's probably a list. It's just an email with probably 20-30 different perks, and most of them are specialty to Postmates. So Postmates works with these companies, and they'll get you up to, I've seen up to like 90% off. Like I bought like this canvas for my wall and I got like 94% off
Huh.
retail.
Okay.
So that's a nice added perk. And they also do work with different like dental healthcare type companies for that.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah. So they're like, hey, we recognize that there are no benefits provided, but hey, if we pool our resources, maybe we can get you guys a deal. When you're going into a restaurant, is the customer already prepaid through the app, or do you have to like charge it to the company debit card or something? How does the transaction
Yes.
work?
So after you apply to Postmates and they do your background check and everything, which probably, I mean, maybe that's a week before you get your hot bag, and then you also get a company card. So you just go into the app under settings and you sign that up. And then once you sign that up, you can use that for any purchase that is not prepaid. Now, I would say as of today, probably about 90% of the restaurants are prepaid. When I started, maybe it was like 70.
Do you have an estimate of the overall hourly rate on a typical night out or a typical weekend of doing this?
I think a lot of it is dependent upon time. So definitely the weekends are going to be the biggest. I'd say I'd probably get about double the traffic I would on a weekday as a weekend. So I'd say on a weekend I could be making, depending on tips, if I'm delivering to a good area, probably upwards of $20 an hour.
Okay.
Whereas, so maybe I'm clearing 10 or 12 after that with gas and everything factored in. But then on a
Yeah.
weekday, it might be like 10, but after gas, I'm clearing like like maybe 5, and then I got to pay taxes on it. So
Yeah.
it's
You
really
ever
about picking the right
get home
times.
from those days and say like, why am I doing this? Is this even worth it?
Yeah, I think as you invest more time into doing it, you start to realize what times and what zones are hot and which ones are not. And eventually you just learn that you could be doing something better with your time essentially. If I was like delivering on a weekday, like I tend to bring my computer with me, any work I have to do. And then if I'm done with any of that work and I'm still waiting for an order, I get a napkin out and I start to like record all like my taxes. So just figuring out all my deductions that I'm going to take and what I've grossed over the past weeks and whatnot.
Okay. Yeah. Use the downtime wisely because you're
Mhm.
not getting paid for it. So you might
Yeah.
as well do something productive. And that's interesting. You say, okay, as you practice this, you can, like any other skill, you can kind of optimize
Mhm.
it, going at these times to these areas, which makes total sense. Like, hey, we're gonna get better at this as we go along. Any sort of horror stories, or aside from the sometimes low effective hourly rate,
Mhm.
like, what sucks about it? I'm curious. Any crazy stories from the road?
This is my first delivery with DoorDash, so unrelated to Postmates.
Okay.
So I get this order. I'm downtown Nashville, like heart of Nashville, which was my first mistake. Obviously, it gets really busy in the city center, but then around is kind of where you want to stay. So I got in the middle, and then I got this order for some like chicken place I had never heard of type place, and it takes me about 20 minutes north of town.
Okay.
Because at this time I was just like wide-eyed. I was like wow, a delivery being offered to
Yeah, I
me.
got an
Like
order.
like
Okay, let's go.
yeah, I was like, okay, let's do it. So I went, and then I get there and I pay, and then I have to wait. I waited probably 30 minutes, 30
Jeez.
or 45 minutes for the food. So after that I was already like, oh gosh, like okay, this isn't going so well. And then I get in my car, and of course DoorDash lets you can just click on the thing to go through to your navigation app of choice. So I go into Waze, and then I start making my way down to where this lady is. Turns out she's at a bar, so she was ordering the food from a bar. Like it is just packed, like bumper to bumper. So I park, and then I'm on the phone with this lady, but there's all these people at the bars just like shouting. And eventually I realized that there's 2 locations of this bar at the restaurant, and the other one is on the opposite side of town.
Oh,
So
jeez.
then I have to get in. So I think she just made the mistake of putting in the wrong delivery location. So then I finally get back in my car, go there. That's probably another 20 minutes.
Wow.
And then she gave me like a $10 cash tip. So that was some consolation, but still,
for the
that
for
was
the hour and a
probably,
half that you
yeah,
spent like on this wild
exactly.
goose chase.
Yes. It was just like everything that could have went bad did that time.
Okay. But lessons learned. Okay, don't take the orders that are that far away,
Mhm.
and especially if you got to deal with parking and everything, try and
Yeah.
avoid the urban center or the city center. Well, very cool, Clay. Really appreciate you taking the time to share some of the ins and outs of Postmates and these other delivery app gigs that you got some experience with. Clay's got a new project called the Dog Park Collective. If you want to check him out over there, check out some of that work. But in the meantime, thank you so much for tuning in, and make sure to subscribe for more money making ideas. Cheers.